1. I went to the University of Queensland in Brisbane. While I was there in my final year, I lived with 4 of my friends at a share house close to campus. It was a Sunday afternoon and 4 of us were playing Halo. We hear a shrieking, maniacal laugh from the back of the house. We gave it a brief bit of attention, then a shrill tone that was just loud enough to make out. "I'm gonna get you, little pricks!" I thought it was funny. Maybe some uni students were having a Sunday sesh and being stupid. Except, I thought their maniacal laugh was pretty dead on. This keeps going with her saying something threatening and laughing every 20 minutes or so. She doesn't seem to be directing the yelling anywhere either, just kinda to herself. And it's not loud. Most of the time you can't make out what she's saying. By now, though, it's become clear now that this isn't a party or people messing about. It's not really funny anymore either. We'd been at this house for 11 months and never observed this behavior. No one else is talking to her either. It's seemingly just her, and she's just yelling. This is where things get dark, figuratively and literally. Her calls become more erratic and stop making sense. They become more frequent. We can hear them more clearly now that night has brought about a drop in the ambient noise. Things like, "Jesus gonna get ya! Ha ha!" It feels more intense. I'm feeling sorry for the person. Why is she so angry? It sounds as though she's lost and having a breakdown. It's sad, but it's also annoying, so I decide to call the police. But my friend stops me. On Wednesday, 4 days later, 2 of the guys were celebrating finishing exams for the year and got a bit rowdy. Nothing too bad, but enough for the 2 guys living above her apartment. It was a 2-story apartment complex, to tell them to keep it down. Apparently these guys were massive dicks about it, which my friends thought prompted retaliation. What was their brilliant revenge plan? Throwing eggs, so they sneak through the garden in our backyard in the dark to throw an egg at these guys. Just as the egg leaves their hands, they hear a shriek from this woman. "Why are you trying to kill my cat?" My friends yell that they're not trying to kill her cat. Then, "Stop trying to murder my cat!" My friends run off, laughing. Wow, what a crazy bitch, right? Yep, right. My heart stopped. I suddenly understood why they didn't. This is the real deal. This woman is textbook schizophrenic. The people she's been yelling at this whole time was us. I was incredibly pissed off at these idiots for accidentally provoking her so senselessly. I don't think my friends understood much about mental health. They just thought she was crazy. I did, though. I knew what schizophrenic people were capable of. By now it's 10 p.m., and I'm talking to my friends, trying to understand why they would do something so... Beep! She was in her car in our driveway, holding down the horn. You could make out her silhouette, raggy hair, very erratic sudden movements. We stood there in silence, watching her through the curtains. We felt safe enough given the 5 male versus 1 female situation. And also it's Australia, so she's not going to have a gun. She stops beeping and gets out and runs toward one of our cars, and starts hitting it with her fists. Her motions were like a zombie from 28 Days Later. The fast ones. When she attacked the car, one of the guys decided that that was it. We all followed him out to accost her, armed with skateboards and cricket bats. She saw us and ran. I was trying to apologize to her for the guys frightening her the other night, and trying to get her to talk with us. As she turned around, we saw her face for the first time in the moonlight. She was about a car length away. Her eyes were black and looked void of humanity. She looked about 20. Her mouth was black and had no teeth. She was calm except for the odd jitter. Other than that, she looked just like any other junkie except with a lot more energy. She just smiled and said, "You killed my cat. You're gonna pay." This didn't get to me immediately. I had been emboldened with a huge surge of adrenaline. The police came and we gave the details. Police couldn't find her car and she wasn't home. They told us to call if she came back. It was now 12 a.m., past our Sunday night bedtime. Except I wasn't going to go to my downstairs bedroom facing her unit, with nothing but glass doors to protect me. We decided to all sleep in the most secure room. When we were awake, we had the power, but if we fell asleep, she would be in control. She did come back. Around 2 a.m., she held her horn in for about 10 seconds. We could hear her walking around the house. We called the police. They came and couldn't find her. The last time we heard her was 4 a.m. She honked the horn, although this horn had less intensity. It was more of a whimper, as if she'd given up and her vendetta was losing momentum. I had never understood the harrowing experience of having your fundamental security threatened and the hope to never experience it again. I stayed at my girlfriend's house from then on. The guys abandoned the house too, since it was now uni break. 1 month later, the house was destroyed in the 2011 Brisbane floods. During the cleanup, I noticed 2 elderly people cleaning the crazy woman's now flooded unit, so I offered to help them lift out all the heavy destroyed stuff. It was surreal and scary being in that place. It was full of old stuff like it was straight out of the 60s. There were a bunch of really strange spiritual things, but nothing really out of the ordinary. They explained to me that it was their unit, and they rented it out to their stepdaughter who had fallen ill recently. Apparently some people had killed her cat, and she couldn't cope. He seemed angry. That fits with what she's probably said, I thought to myself. He added pretty nonchalantly, "She genuinely wanted to kill those guys. She's been in trouble before." My friends and I are not malicious at all. We could never even hurt a cat, let alone kill one. But in their stupidity to get back at these guys, they had accidentally evoked the wrath of a very sick person. It had felt like evil had come to us that night. But in reality, we had seen the face of mental illness in its true form. I feel genuine empathy for her. I felt genuine empathy for her. I felt good in that she was getting the help she needed. I finished helping them clear out the unit and said my goodbyes. 2. When I was in my second year of university, I lived alone. It was a downstairs flat with my bedroom facing towards the street. I had some heavy green curtains, so didn't mind too much. My friends lived about a 15-minute walk away, and I would go over every day till sometimes around 3 or 4 a.m. or sleep over. I had a long-distance boyfriend at the time, so would sometimes be up late Skype sexting. Halloween rolls around and I'm out with my friends. I decide to go back to mine and be a sexy Skype supergirl for my boyfriend. We get into it. We're having a great time. Curtains closed, lights off, just to be safe. I had had a drunk man try to get in one time. I fell asleep early and left the curtains open. It had been super creepy. I woke up to sounds of someone trying to push open the front door. When I looked up, there was a man. Staring, stood so close, his nose almost touched the window. I'd freaked out and spent the night in the living room. So the lights were off, curtains shut. I noticed a kind of flickering in my peripheral and looked around. While meeting at the bottom, the curtains parted very slightly near the top. Through the gap there appears to be a trail of steam rising. I cover myself and get up to investigate. I have to get up and stand on my tiptoes to see through. I'm a short arse. The source of the steam was a man's mouth, hunched over and panting, exposed at the waist, violently stroking his member. I try to quickly rearrange the curtains, grabbing my laptop and hiding in the living room. A few days later, there is a pink envelope waiting for me when I walk through the door. As I pick it up, various small change falls out. Written on the lip of the envelope in jagged capital letters, "I mean you no harm. Kiss, kiss, kiss." A horrible cold feeling spread through my body. Dread overlapped by shock. I'd never felt anything like it. I turned the card over to read the address side. There in the same handwriting. To the girl in the front room. Opening it, I see it's a quite traditional sort of card. Cream with a delicate watercolor of a bouquet on the front. Thinking of you in gold curvature next to it. The inside was completely covered by a message, completely in capitals, some letters backward, and words misspelled. I gave the card to the police, so can't recite the whole passage verbatim. But the essence was, I'm an old man who has lived on the street for a long time. Wasn't sure if it meant my street or the streets in general, more on that later. You made me the happiest I have ever been in my life on Halloween. I'm sorry I scared you. You are very beautiful. I love to watch you, whether you are working on your computer or touching yourself. Please leave your curtains open just a little for me. For each time you do this, I will post a couple pounds through the letterbox. Signed, Ken. Kiss, 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 kiss. I called my friends, then got the police to come round. Basically, they couldn't do anything. They took the card as evidence, gave me a case number, and said that they would get the patrol car to drive past my house for the near future. I stayed at my friend's for a week, and had one of them stay over at mine after that. That wasn't quite the last of Ken. Sometimes there would be a knocking at my window, but kept my curtains 100% closed. 3 or 4 months of no incidents later, we got snow. I was leaving my house, now in the habit of checking my curtains every time I left or got back to the house. I could see a set of footprints tracing the entire front window, back and forth, like someone had been pacing. After I moved, my friend had a job where she could check the local electoral register. We did find that a K. Mordew lived on my previous street. We did no further investigations, because it was a studenty area. I would walk past that house on my way home for the next 2 years. A while after I moved out, I saw that the windows had been completely covered in newspaper, stuck from the inside. Seemed like someone was having trouble with Ken still coming around. Let's not meet again, Ken. Okay? 3. So first a little background. I went to a fairly large middle school that had kids from at least 3 cities in the area all going to it. From there I went to a small high school with maybe 300 kids total. My high school was a highly competitive charter school, located in the mountains and surrounded by several acres of woods. I met this guy, Sam, in middle school, but didn't really interact with him much. It was more one of those friend of my friends things. Fast forward to my sophomore year of high school. Sam transfers into my high school. My high school did block schedules, so we had 4 classes and a sort of study hall homeroom class in the middle of the day. Sam transferred partway through sophomore year. I don't know how this happened, but he ended up in 4 out of my 5, counting homeroom and study hall, classes. At this time, I had established a bit of a reputation at the school for being helpful and a good student. So when Sam transferred and seemed to be having a tough time, I was asked to sort of take him under my wing and help him out. Boy, do I regret doing that. One of the classes we had together was a history class that I also had with one of my best friends. Despite her protests, my teacher made the 2 of us work with Sam on all our group projects. Sam was already kind of creepy with me, even though he has been at our school for less than a week. When we started working together, he would sit uncomfortably close to me, and at first he wouldn't say much, but as he got up more courage, he started talking to me. At first it was all normal stuff. I had an older boyfriend at the time who was in the Air Force and stationed in Japan. I know, that sounds like one of those lies high school girls make up, to get creepy guys to back up, but this was true. We were childhood friends and had started dating shortly before he enlisted. So I made sure Sam knew I wasn't looking for anything more than a friend. But it didn't take long before he started flirting with me. His flirting quickly escalated from compliments and asking if my boyfriend Alex was real, to trying to steal the virginity ring I wore every day off my finger, and joking that one day, it wouldn't be just the ring he was stealing. I was freaked out, but I figured there wasn't much he could do since we only saw each other at school, and he had no clue where I lived. Back when I was in high school, the chat that's part of Gmail, now called Google Hangouts, was like the AIM messenger of the time, so everyone used it, and there were several group chats that I was a part of for my school that used personal email addresses rather than our school Gmails. Through this, Sam got my email address. He started sending me creepy, sexually explicit emails of the things he dreamed about. I won't share the one I still have saved, but they were gross, especially to a Christian virgin girl. He often had some part about me moaning how I loved him, not Alex, over and over again. Eventually it got so bad that one of my friends reported what was happening to school administration. They basically sent out an email to the entire school administration that Sam wasn't allowed to communicate with me at school. This freed me from everything but the creepy sex emails that came in on a weekly basis. At least until the end of the year. Junior year. Sam was keeping his distance, but we had a class together, so we had started interacting at a minimal level. I mostly just ignored him and hung out with my friends, so. Senior year is where things started getting really bad again, and I didn't realize how bad they had actually been my junior year until this point. We both took advanced martial arts as an elective class that year, which meant not only did we have to talk, we actually had to spar and train together. The worst thing about this is that my high school gym was about a 3 to 5 minute walk from the rest of our campus, and you had to walk through a trail through the woods I mentioned earlier to get there and back. Sam would wait for me every morning at the top of the trail before school, and the bottom of the trail after class, just so he could walk with me. Although he usually walked a good 5 feet behind me, and he didn't talk to me. At this point, my long-distance relationship was beginning to fall apart, and Sam saw this as his opportunity. He started telling me stuff about how I was his soulmate, and how I just didn't want to see it. He also told me that he had drawn some kind of rune that eternally bonded our souls. Don't ask me what that's supposed to mean. Sam was into all sorts of Wicca, dream walking, and other magic and stuff that I wrote off as stupid jokes. As we came up on the end of our senior year, some of my teachers started asking me about essays, short stories, and poems that I had written and turned in during earlier years. I eventually found out that Sam had been taking my old writing out of the trash at the end of each year, when I cleaned out my locker and threw out all the old assignments I no longer cared about, and turning them back in as his own work. I insisted I knew nothing about it, and my school decided to search his locker. The thing was like a crazy shrine to me. He had piles of my old homework and assignments that I had thrown out, and 4 or 5 composition notebooks that I used to keep as diaries, and poetry journals that I assumed I had lost at some point. The school assumed he was simply keeping my work in hopes of turning it back in and getting better grades so he could actually graduate. But it felt really creepy to me. The school took all of my old work and made me take it home and suggested I not throw old assignments away at school or I would get in trouble for letting him copy me. Thing is, the other thing they found in his locker they didn't care about, but I did, was several word magnets that my friends and I had made to leave notes in each other's lockers. I know they were the ones out of my locker, which meant he also knew my combination. A few weeks after they raided his locker, I was getting changed back into my regular clothes after my martial arts class, and discovered that my bra and my extra workout shirt were missing out of my locker. I reported it to the school, but nothing ever came of that. I'm fairly sure Sam stole them, but I've never been able to prove that. After that, he stopped talking to me for the most part. I had a new boyfriend who actually went to our school for the last 2 months of my senior year, and Sam was terrified of him. The only things that happened were one composition notebook that I had completely filled with quotes and poems I found and liked, and a bunch of original poems I wrote, went missing, and occasionally the magnets and other things in my locker seemed to magically rearrange themselves in ways that didn't make sense. Some of my friends knew my combination, and although they swore they never touched my stuff, I just figured it was them trying to be funny. After graduation, I figured I was finally free of Sam. Instead, he started more legitimately stalking me after this. At first it was just emails from accounts I didn't recognize, asking for things that didn't make sense. I marked all of these as spam and ignored them. Then he made an account under the name of one of my former friends from high school. I thought it was actually my friend Becca emailing me, so I responded. We carried on a pretty normal email conversation for a few weeks, and then she got weird. She and I had talked about our relationships and things like that, so she knew that I had a boyfriend. She started asking me to send her nudes, and insisting that if she didn't, she would hurt herself or try to kill herself. She used to send me pictures of the deep cuts on her arms, and even counted off pills she took when I refused to do what she asked. Becca had told me she was living somewhere in Colorado, so I was pretty sure I couldn't call anyone and say someone I knew was trying to or threatening to kill themselves. I'm not proud of what I did or that I fell for Sam's games, but I did what I was told, for fear of being responsible for someone's death. This went on for several months until finally I got tired of it and actually deleted my email address. Things were quiet from there as I started my first year of college. However, I soon found out from a friend of mine that Sam was attending the community college, which is within walking distance of the college I was attending. I didn't think Sam knew where I was going to college, so I figured I'd be fine. And I was, for about the first month. Sam started showing up outside of my classes. At first he would just stand there in the sea of people, leaving my class until he knew I saw him. Then he would walk away. This started to really freak me out, and at the time, I had no friends at the college and no boyfriend to intimidate Sam. After a few weeks, I started getting emails to my college email address. They always came from different email addresses, had no subject, and always 4 attachments. They were always me, somewhere on campus, eating, in class, headed to my car, even photos of me heading to the bathroom. I reported everything to campus police, but they told me that unless I could prove who was stalking me, there wasn't much they could do about it. I established the habit of getting on and off campus as quickly as possible, and not talking to or interacting with anyone. After my first semester and Christmas break, things calmed down for a while, and I started trying to make friends, which turned out to be a mistake, but that's a story for another time and another Reddit. I had started working in a store in my local mall, and I hadn't heard from Sam or Becca in several months. Sam started showing up at my work that January. I worked in a home decor store, so the store had pretty narrow walkways between displays, and it was next to impossible to notice someone coming up behind you. And the cameras in half the store were dead. At first, he would just wander around, and if I was working, he might do something like break something in my section of the store. One of my co-workers actually saw him do it a few times. I worked on a rotating schedule, so I worked different times and different days every week, so he couldn't just wait for me to show up. If he went to the store and I wasn't there, he would ask when I was working, claiming to be my boyfriend. After 2 or 3 times of my managers and co-workers asking me why my boyfriend had come in asking for my schedule, I found out it was Sam, and I explained the situation to my managers, and they let everyone know that if Sam showed up while I was working, they had to alert the manager and me so I could stay in the back. They were also told to tell Sam that I no longer worked there, in hopes that he would stop. It took my manager threatening to call mall security for him to finally stop coming around my work. After that, he went quiet again for almost a year, before popping up on my social media again last year. He claimed that he had changed and he wanted a second chance. Me being the stupid person that I am, and always wanting to give people the benefit of the doubt, and only see the best, started to rebuild a friendship with him. At this point, I was actually single, trying to build a solid friendship with a guy I had a thing for a really long time. Now my fiancé. It was only a week into us talking before he started being creepy again, and begging for nudes and sending me messages like sex emails he used to send in high school. My now fiancé, then he was just my best friend, although he asked me out within a couple weeks of this. Signed into my account on Snapchat, and basically ranted at this guy telling him to leave his girlfriend alone, and the next inappropriate message he sent me would mean my boyfriend immediately blocked his account, and he would never speak to me again. After that, I tried to put some distance between us, although I tried to be friendly and answer when he talked to me. After a couple months of this, Becca made a reappearance. She started talking to me on Instagram as someone completely different. We talked for a few weeks before she started sending me messages, and made it clear it was really Becca/Sam. My fiancé and I have a theory that Sam decided to bring Becca back as a way to attempt to make me dependent on Sam again. She went back to her old tricks with the self-harm and the suicide threats, except this time Sam used the timed photo thing on Instagram and his little sister to really add a punch to it and make me truly believe she was trying to hurt and kill herself. I told her I knew who she was and that she was lying. She threatened to blackmail me with the old images I sent her way back in my first year of college if I didn't send her more. Instead, I told my boyfriend, and he used his tech nerdiness to check out the metadata on the photos and discover that they were actually screenshots from some other account, and this person actually lived in the same state as us. We reported Becca to both Instagram and our local police, and I spoke with a lawyer friend of mine about the things she had said, and then blocked both Becca and Sam. The only thing that's happened since then is that a few accounts have popped up on Facebook and Whisper using my images, both the appropriate and explicit ones, and claiming to be me. My fiancé has a search algorithm set up to find them, although as soon as one comes up, it's down before either of us gets the chance to report it. It doesn't happen consistently, and entire months go between incidents, but honestly, I wish it would just stop already. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 3 True Scary Stories, episode 210. Thanks very much to everyone who allowed me to use their story in this video. Alright, where are we now? I have no idea, because I'm sitting in the dark. This is... I completely blanking on the day. This is... Oh, Wednesday this goes up. Okay, right, so far, I haven't sent any messages out for glitch stories, but fingers and toes crossed we'll have one ready. If not, then I've actually got stories for more kind of bad dates, or more of the retail stories, so we'll have some, there'll be a video of some kind up, hopefully a fun video up, even if I can't get a glitch video together. And I'm not sure what I'm doing for this Sunday though, but I want to try something a bit different like I did last week. I'm really enjoying shaking things up on a Sunday, and I intend to, for as long as I'm able to, keep trying new things out, doing themed videos. Sometimes it might be like a paranormal video, but it'll be like a themed thing, like, I don't know, like maybe sleep paralysis. I keep threatening to do one of those, so maybe we'll get one of those one Sunday, and I'll keep trying things as well. I'm hoping to do no, I don't know if I should announce it too early. I'm hoping to do a Confessions of series. That's what it'll be titled, Confessions of a something. Don't know what. So right now ideas running around my head are Confessions of an Undertaker, Confessions of an Overworked Nurse, that sort of thing. Just something that might interest people. Confessions of a Florist, whatever. But I'll put feelers out, see what I can get, and hopefully I'll have that up in a few weeks' time. But these special videos, they can take a bit of doing to put together. I was actually really fortunate with the retail one that I managed to put that together so quickly. But I'm determined to come up with interesting things, so I'll keep plugging away at it. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.